This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast has been brought to you by RE/MAX Jack. Jack provides a friendly, customer-driven service in search for homes and provides excellent details on the market, values, and trends in buying and selling. Jack has been able to work with Cam on his search and always makes himself available when he has a question. RE/MAX Jack will help you if you're looking to buy or sell a home within the GTA. He's who Cam K trusts to find his next home, and he should be yours too. Remember, call RE/MAX Jack and start to pack. For more information, go to remaxjack.ca.
Hi, this is Mario Andretti, and you're tuned into Cam Graydon and the team at Stickers and Scuffs podcast. They're true Canadian racing fans.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. K Graydon Bunn here. It is, we're the end of April almost already. 2 weeks to go until the end of April, Graydon. And that means we're almost at Pinty's series opener time at May 13th. We typically do this every year, and we're excited to do it once again. It's just a little bit of a preview show, our thoughts on the series, our thoughts on what this year could be like, and just random thoughts about the Pinty series this year. So we'll start off with how last year went. We went to a good chunk of the races last year, including big stops at GP3R, which was our first time going to that event. And
great show, Dominic, by the way. Thank you.
Very good show, Dominic. Yes, Fougere. Puts on an amazing show. I do wish, obviously, that we got to stay for the race. Unfortunately, with the delay, what was it? 2 hour delay? I think it was
something like that. I think.
Yeah. By the time we were about, I think, an hour and a half on the road by the time they started up again. And it one of those things, we were trying to do it all in one day type of deal, and unfortunately ran out of time. But overall, I think we've learned you can't really do a trip in 3 days at GP3. You kind of need a week, probably.
I would honestly love to take a good at least 5 days to just, if not a week. You're right. It was, I think, maybe to GP3R and Dominic and his team's credit, we maybe grossly underestimated just how big of a spectacle it was. Yeah. And it was everything that we envision a pinnacle of Canadian motorsports to be and more. It was just so good. And like I said, we just with the work and the day job things, we had to go back, but I mean, go home. But man, it was, the whole experience was just out of this world. I mean, like the party where we were like down on the main drag at the waterfront with the like I'm not kidding, folks. Walt Disney World caliber fireworks display.
Yes.
Killer restaurants and all the drivers are out there mingling, and
that was the coolest thing.
Oh God, it was.
You're awesome. Like walking on the main road, and you look over to your left, and there's Mark Dilley having drinks and and dinner with
Will Cox running down the street,
Jeff
screaming
Wilcox,
and everything.
Jeff Wilcox having the ball with the rest of the WMI boys.
Yeah.
Walking by the officials table, and they're all having a good time. And then Gary Clute just randomly walks into us, and you're just like, what? Like,
not to mention a dynamite dinner with Joel and the Fuel and TSN boys neighboring Raphael Lessard's table.
Lessard and his family, yeah, and James Hunt's grandson or his son. I can't remember who it was. It was his son, I think, that was there.
It was like who's who of Canadian motorsports. It was like our candy store. It was just so much fun.
Yeah, and it's not something that I think we expected at all, because then after the fireworks, literally all walking down the city streets, like the whole town is out and walking back to the houses and everything like that. And I think for us, I think if it was a tad cooler, I probably would have enjoyed it a little bit more. I was not meant for 41-degree heat.
It was excessively warm. That was that's no word of a lie, folks. It was in excess of 40 degrees. Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine what the drivers are feeling in the cars.
That would have been tough.
It would have been cooking. Like you'd been boiling like a lobster in your containment seat.
Yeah. So thank you, Dave Lloyd, for saving my ass out there, because he luckily had the Quick truck out there that had some air conditioning that could give me some respite, because my
Mopar baby.
There you go. Mopar safety, man. Allowed me to cool off, and the Quick boys helped us out with some water, and because it was toasty, man. We had
and beers too. Thanks, Dave.
Well, of course, we got to have the beverages for Graydon. I just need water to survive. Well, Graydon can live on the liquid beer there, but really, really great. I think that probably was the tops for us last year. There's a lot of great events that we went to for the Pinty series, but I think overall as an experience, if you haven't gone, you need to plan to go, because it isn't
absolutely.
It just CTMP is big, Delaware is big, but it's just the overall scope of how big it is. You don't get to Toronto does not do this justice at all. And I'm not calling out the Honda Indy Toronto organizers for what they don't do, because they still put on a good show. But for the Pinty series, they're not the headliner. The IndyCar series is by a large margin. Mm-hmm. This was the Pinty series being, and not just even the Pinty series that weekend, but they had sports car racing. They had
modifieds on the street.
Modifieds on the streets. Like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen. And not only
with some of the Pinty's drivers in it.
With some of the Pinty's drivers,
what a hell of a show.
They have the dirt modifieds the dirt modifieds as well that race on the same street. Like, the one trouble I think is that we were trying to walk everything, and I don't know if theoretically that was the best decision to make, because you had to walk around. If we knew, I think if we go back, we know where we're going now. That's the difference, right?
Yes.
Last year we had the hardest time because we had to try and find everything, and some of the places that they said were going to be open were not open, and we had to go around the entire length of the track before we even got in, and that kind of spoiled it. And unfortunately, the garage was in complete sun, and that was the worst part about it, I think, was that it was in the complete sun. We only stayed for a couple hours at the track on Saturday because it was, I think, 39 degrees, and it felt warmer than actual race day. I think race day was
more of a breeze with that thunderstorm blowing in. Yeah.
And then that was the respite, was the breeze. But the cool thing is they come and they have the drivers meeting, and then the drivers are literally just walking back through the crowd, mm-hmm. and people are stopping. A lot of people had no clue that the drivers were walking right by, right? So we had the Bunn sons with us, and I don't know where you had gone at the time, but so as these drivers are walking, Kevin's walking by, Sherry's walking by, get the picture with the Bunn sons. I can't remember where you went though.
Yeah, I was off somewhere with somebody.
I can't remember or something. Were you getting water or something?
I don't know what we were doing, but I mean,
but luckily
we got split up at any rate. But I remember doing something that was fun too while we got split. But at any rate,
waiting in line for food? No,
maybe
No, I don't think you were.
Maybe it's some of those delicious smash burgers that were there. Right? Oh, god damn,
now,
those were good.
When we talk about places to go, like again, Tikok, which is their like Swiss Chalet-esque place, $10 for a box of food was probably the best deal, and it was delicious. Like it, I love Swiss Chalet at times, but this was another level. Like this, for
its price point was amazing.
For types of food that you can get at a racetrack, solid. I think water was probably a little bit more needed. Like there was needed more.
Oh, definitely,
that. Just for like filling up your own water bottle, and that Toronto was famous for that too. Like they've got like one fill up place for your water, and you kind of need as many of those as you can. The problem is that when you're at a place like this, same with Toronto, they want you to buy drinks there, right?
Yes.
So that was kind of something that maybe when we return, because it's not the only time we're going there. Like we're gonna go back.
Oh hell no, I do. I seriously want to take my wife this time because she would love it there.
And it is. It's absolutely amazing. I think
Airbnbs galore in the area.
Really a good place. Like we had no issues with noise.
No, great neighborhoods and
great neighborhood. Very cool kind of esque layout.
Yeah,
old
very school, kind local people that'll place your order for you at Tim Hortons when
they'll try for you.
Yeah, exactly.
The one thing I loved about this was that Paye, JC Paye and Matsan Karan did an amazing job for us and really helped us out. And I mean, we obviously love those guys and love the support that they gave us, but when we headed out to GP3, we really had no idea how we were going to like it. And I think the first night it was a little bit rougher because we couldn't really find any places to eat, as crazy as it is. We got late, so we were trying to order stuff and we had to do like skip the dishes, and we didn't get our full order, and it was a bit of a it was a bit of a gong show. But definitely recommend it to anybody that is a racing fan. You have to go to this event. And it is one of the best things. I would recommend, though, we were not in a traditionally speaking, like a more, they were more traditional, more French speaking, rather than a place where they're more bilingual. So that would be kind of the one recommendation I would have, is to go somewhere maybe a little more bilingual, that we could have communicated, but at the very least, Graydon's broken French really was enough. You know?
I thought we were okay. Like I was like able to hold my own enough to like place an order, but I mean, I was obviously not.
Yeah,
I was rustier than I thought when you start.
Oh yeah, it's a big deal.
Pressure on. It's like a game show when you're in the bonus round or whatever, and they're asking you just what you want to eat. And it's like, oh my god, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly right. And that was tough because you would kind of went by yourself, but.
And they have those like the screens now instead of just like the meal board where it stays there.
And they
so rotate. You can say I'll have like I couldn't even remember what the combo was to say numero or whatever, and it kept scrolling through, and then a panic and luckily, as I said, there's a kind lady there that was behind it.
And our year started kind of the same with me not being able to handle the heat because it was like 33 degrees.
It was smoking at sunset too.
But I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was also the Humidex was also in there, so it also felt like 40 degrees. And then so I got dehydrated really quickly, and I didn't even stay for the race because I felt so faint. And but again, heat was the name of the game for those races. But then we go to CTMP for the first race of the year, and it was bloody freezing. And you guys got blown away that was Saturday, right?
Yeah, us and well, I mean, everybody did, but we had our little camping neighborhood set up with John and Alyssa Nas and Wade and Britt. And
yeah.
It got real there, so we had to tuck and run, and then we came back the next day for the race with everything, like our bodies intact, and and it was no joke. I mean, there was a few people I know that
taken to hospital.
Yeah, media crew and team members that got hurt in the storm because it came
FEL
on quick, and I mean,
and the FEL paddock was completely destroyed. Lots of trailers.
Crazy. That's where we were set up, like just outside that area.
Yeah, you guys had you were right beside it, essentially.
Yeah, the B&G boys, their fuel setup was just across the fence from us, and there were full fuel barrels blowing, not like rolling, like blowing lengthways off the pile, like in a way that they don't blow or like they don't roll. It blew off. I mean, it was friggin' insane.
And then of course we're there on the Sunday for the race, and it sucked. It was. I will go and say, like, for a NASCAR Pinty's race, and of course we're the biggest fans of it, right? So, but we're allowed to say once in a while, hey, this race was not very good. It wasn't.
They're not all barn burners.
No. Compared to the race we saw the previous year, when we saw those two on Saturday, Sunday, they were high watermarks. Yeah, much more interesting. The Marc-Antoine Cameron winning for 22 Racing, that race was amazing. It was a great race. The finish of this one with Gary and Kevin broke my heart because I remember elbowing you, being like, I'm finally going to see Gary Clute win a race. And he almost did. And I remember that we went down into the pit paddock afterwards, and I remember meeting Sean and Sean Morissette down there, and him and his dad, they were not happy with Kevin Lacroix. Now they're like best buddies, but there was a lot of people wanting to kill Kevin Lacroix after that race last year. So, but it was, you could hear it like an audible gasp across the crowd when it happened, because a lot of people wanted Gary to win.
Yeah. I mean, everybody loves the Smiling Assassin, and now he's got Smiling Assassin Jr. there too.
Smiling Assassin Jr. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't think that kid's not going to get into some sort of wheels pretty soon too.
they already got him. They got him out there when they're doing bike rides and stuff. So
yeah. That's so cool. I love seeing all those pictures. I mean, that picture you reposted about like Gary being 17, little boy band looking Gary. I mean, he's a daddy now.
Yeah, I didn't realize Gary started that young.
Yeah, he was just but a wee boy,
a wee lad. He was in the car, and I honestly love seeing that though, because we get to see guys that grow up through the series. And so him and Trayton and Kyle Steckley. I remember when we interviewed Kyle for the first time, he has the squeaky voice, and now he's going to be one of the guys this year. That's one of the things that I'm really excited about, is that, you know, we don't know his full schedule yet, but we only got to see him in 3 races last year. He's going to do more than 3 races this year, and I think he could do something very special and win in his first, not his first full season, because obviously he did those, but he almost got a podium last year at the first race at Saskatoon. Barely lost out to Marc-Antoine Cameron, who we're going to touch on in a minute. But I think Kyle Steckley coming in this year, that if he's got that support from APC again, that's a huge company to have behind you. And he seems to me, you would know better than I, honestly. You grew up with Scott. Your boys grew up with Scott. You know what Scott is like. Does Kyle not give off the same vibe of the cool and calm, collected, and mature thinking? And the thing, he's only 17, 18 years old. 16. I have no idea how old he is now.
Excuse me. Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt, like, my boys have idolized Scott since they knew what NASCAR Canadian Tire Series racing was, which was very early in their life. And so, yeah, as a result, we've seen Kyle growing up just like my boys are. I mean, from like the little boy voice, little boy face to being a man. And if it's one thing that we've seen out of Kyle is adaptability. If there's one word to put on Kyle Steckley, it's adaptability. That kid goes from mini stocks to late models to Pinty series, like all over the map in terms of full bodied race cars. And it doesn't take, like to your point, it doesn't take him but a hot minute to get used to what he's driving and find out what it takes to make it go fast. And that's not something that that's something you're born with. You can teach it. I mean, you can teach, like, hone those skills. But I mean, that kid, if there's anybody that was born instinctively with the skills, it's Kyle. And I'm sort of biased. I can't wait to see as his schedule expands into the Pinty series. But I mean, in what he's doing now, I mean, he's just phenomenal driver, and he's definitely a chip off the old block. Scott plugged away with what he had for a long time before he got the support. He was not successful. Tire.
He was not successful away.
Like, you want to say he's a late bloomer, but
2007, I think, was his first win. And he'd been in it since like the 90s, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, he's plugging away, like fighting the good fight, as we say, for a lot of the drivers. And once he finally got that support and was able to put all those pieces together, it set the world on fire, and he became very quickly one of the greatest ever in the Pinty series. And it's not pressure to put on Kyle, but in terms of Kyle has the advantage going for him now. Like Scott had the 22 racing infrastructure in place as Kyle was coming up as a driver, and what father wouldn't want to support his son in doing what he wants to do too. And so all the pieces are in place for Kyle to meet and exceed everybody's expectations, I think.
I think if we head into this year, there's a lot of names that we could look at that will, if not build on last year. Obviously, I think we could talk JP Bergeron. I think he had a very solid rookie season. Maybe didn't have the results that he would have thought he would get, but
performance was there.
Performance was definitely there, and maybe the finishes, like I said, didn't end up, but he wasn't a guy that was wrecking every week. He was just out there giving his all. Yes, he had some trouble and some squabbles with people on the racetrack, but that is bound to happen. Somebody who I really think a lot of, and it's not just because we are buddies with this guy and this team, but their performance based off of the limited amount of starts last year. For 4 starts last year. Now, we're going to not count Delaware because that was a different story. They were testing out an engine, I think they would rather us never mention Delaware again.
With a road course car.
With a road course car, mind you. That's the very good point.
If you're speaking of who I think you are.
I am definitely speaking of who you're thinking of. Daniel Bois in MBS Motorsports. One of the most impressive couple of starts that I think really, I don't think any of us really thought they had in them. And it started right from that first race at CTMP, where they were up there battling in the top 5 right until the last couple of laps, until they unfortunately ran out of gas, or they had a fuel pickup. I think it wasn't like they ran out, but they had a fuel pickup issue, and he got stuck on the backstretch, and then they didn't throw a caution, so he got stuck there and finished lower than he was. I think in 4th place. When is the last time that somebody has come into the Pinty series relatively unknown, because he had been in the series, but for like 1 or 2 starts years
under the radar,
in a team that no one really knew and runs that well? I was blown away and immediately was a fan as soon as we got to see and meet and interact with that team. They are a bunch of fun people. They're best buddies that all come together for a race. They've gone through a little bit of an ownership change for this year, but the fact is they're planning to do even more races. They didn't go out and burn through their money the first year. They thought, let's take it slow. Let's do these races, then we'll do these races, and then we'll do these races. What do you have to say about MBS Motorsports and Daniel Bois?
Well, if you weren't going to bring them up, I was. So
yes, I figured you would.
Again, I'm a little biased now, and I'll start it off. I can't thank Dan and Jeff and Dominic enough for their belief and encouragement.
And we'll throw Donnie. We'll throw Donnie in there too, because Donnie gave you a lot of support last year too.
Yeah, Don, for everyone, Don Beatty has moved on from the ownership group, but those guys, I mean, every time they saw us last year, were right, like, stop what they're doing and come and say hey. And Dan's, he's like I say, a fellow 705 or us, like Dan, Brad Robinson, us. Yeah, I
you're a different breed of people.
Driver group. I've ran 2 races in my life.
You're a different breed of people. You know?
Yeah, we're the Muskoka boy. I mean, we're
Muskoka
not
boys
from the hotbed of auto racing, right?
Yeah.
So when somebody from Muskoka races, it gets my attention. When Jason Hathaway has Muskoka Airport on his car, and then we saw it again at Oshwegan this
Michael
year too.
Gowdy.
Yeah, with Gowdy, with the same brand or same parent company, I guess, on the car. But the Muskoka name, I mean, it's so cool to see. And the MBS guys, as you said, are, despite the ownership group change, they're very savvy with their business sense in terms of not biting off more than they can chew. I mean, if you're going to go NASCAR racing, we're not, like, nobody makes any bones about it. It costs a lot of dough to go NASCAR racing, even if it's in Canada. And those boys decided to just get their feet wet, play to their game in their wheelhouse, and hit the road course races. But Dan he's a professional driver, and he's not unfamiliar with ovals either. So I mean, it's awesome to see them expand into, like, their competitive program into oval racing, because I think they're going to surprise some people. They have excellent equipment this year. They've been working all off season. They're doing pit practice. I know this for a fact. I mean, and he's posted it on socials too, but don't think for a second those boys are coming to run around in the back. Like, they're trophy hunting 100%. And I think they have a win in them somewhere. Or if they don't win, they got a podium at the very least.
I think Toronto, they
calling it.
They did an amazing, like, and the thing is, it's hard.
Dan will get her done behind the wheel, 100%.
And it's hard. Like, we have to admit, like, this is not something, and it's kind of transitions well to the championship winners last year. You don't see this. You do not see a team come in and dominate from the drop of the green flag like Paye Racing did last year. It really took me for surprise. I didn't expect that they were going to be that good right off the bat, because I think Mark would admit that he was with 22 Racing and it just wasn't a good fit. He did get that win. He's gotten a couple wins for them. I believe he got 2 wins, one at St. Eustache and then one at
that's right,
at CTMP. But they were miles apart, and he just never really seemed to click. And whether that's just not being fully there and the team kind of being based in Ontario, him being based in Quebec, this was done kind of his way with his sponsor, JC Paye, putting this whole deal together with their own people. Sometimes that is what you need. And they came into this, and you were at that sunset race. They stunk up the show. Let's be honest. Like, they kicked ass until the end. Until
they came to win.
They came up there to win, and that was the story. If I remember correctly, the stats were ridiculous last year.
It was a woodshed whipping. And
that's like, the championship was still, I don't know if I'd call it close, because it wasn't, at the end of the day, it was wrapped up a race early. But I don't know about you, but that's the type of thing that makes me worry. Because if they get on a tear and they go on like Jimmy Johnson-esque tears, that's not what I think we want to see per se. But you have to admit that they were damn impressive last year.
I think because, I mean, historically and recently, we see close championship battles in the Pinty series.
Very much.
The season is short.
Yep.
Unless someone really hits it, it's hard for them to really spread themselves apart.
This puts this into perspective. This is the stat I was looking at. Okay. So of the laps run last year, okay, Marc-Antoine Cameron led 803 laps. Second place on that list, who do you think it was? For leading
Trayton?
That's a great guess. No, he's in 5th place. Second place was Brandon Watson.
That's good. Yeah.
362 laps.
So he got spanked by a good
the Cameron
hundreds of laps. Yeah.
Holy moly. But the championship was only settled by 27 points. So it wasn't like a Matt Kenseth where they're like hundreds and hundreds of points away. But they gave him an ass whooping, the most top 10s of any team last year, tied for the most amount of wins. And that's the other thing. 13 races last year, they only had 3 wins. So this wasn't a given. It was just the performance that they had was much better.
Yeah. And to that extent, when is the last time the Pinty series had a team of this nature kind of form in that team with essentially where the owner is backing the team, so he spent as much marketing dollars as he wants to and as much R&D. But I mean, and what we always come back to is how people make things successful.
Yeah,
JC Paillet and Marc-Antoine Cameron, Robin McCluskey, they assembled a dream team of passionate racers. And like Rick Hendrick, they all sit down and have these team huddles where it's just like, we're not going there to finish second. We're not going there to finish second in the championship. We're going there with our eyes on every checkered flag and the big trophy at the end. And I just, and it's no discredit to anyone else. It's not like the other teams don't have that team mentality, but there's something about the fire in the belly of a brand new team that wants to go out there and make a statement and show everybody, hey, we're not here to dick around. Like, we're here to win. And they did it and they showed it. So, I mean, to your point, if we're going to see a dynasty in the making, if it comes to pass, so be it. But I mean, it's a wake up call to the other teams to say, hey, whatever they're doing, we got to find some of that and not get smoked by 500 laps and lap leader counts and that sort of thing.
Why I think White Motorsports could be downsizing is for that specific reason. Andrew, if you think Andrew Ranger is okay with how he finished last year, absolutely not. That was his lowest points finish since he's been in the series, if I'm not mistaken. He only had 1 win, and that
There's fuel on the fire, Andrew.
That win wasn't a given. He doesn't have Caden Lapsevich back, which I feel like they had a lot. I don't know about you, but I think they had a really good chemistry last year. It took them a while to get going, but the mechanical issues just plagued White Motorsports all last year. We were there in the offseason. We went in January. We took a tour. You can find it up on Stickers and Scuffs on our YouTube channel. It isn't a low-class shop. That is an all-star race car building godsend to Ontario. But the issues were very evident last year with mechanical issues across the board. Those that did not have mechanical issues typically did quite well. But if I look at Cameron, Lacroix, Kennington, Lapsevich, Taglioni, there's some names there that seem to have a lot of good luck. But the guys that didn't were Dumoulin, Watson, Ranger, Clute, Dexter, Stacy. They all fell lower in the points.
Yeah.
I think we have to touch on the battles within the battles last year. Yes, you had the main battles for the championship, Graydon, but one of the most entertaining things the entire year was the battle with like the old guys, as we'll call them. The Glenn Steyrs, Wallace Stacy, Brian Cathcart battles at the back of the pack with TJ Renamoto. Really entertaining.
And to TSN and Field Media Labs credit, they go through the field and they make the viewers aware of these battles. So it's 100% true. From top to bottom, you might not be battling for the lead, but don't think you're not battling. I mean, or that said driver's not battling. And it was always cool, seeing and Glenn is making his foray.
Yeah,
Glenn's an episode in himself, and if anyone follows Glenn's socials, that is one tough man to nail down because that guy is always somewhere. But I mean, when I think of the Canadian face for bridging the great divide of dirts for potatoes and asphalts for getting to the races and all that sort of
mumbo jumbo.
Call it sort of friendly competition or friendly rivalry. Some of it's not friendly. Like some people just straight up hate the other kind of disciplines. But Glenn Steyrs has done an amazing job of bridging the gap between those people, and to have everybody gathered at his place there at Oshweekend to celebrate stock cars on dirt, sprint cars together. That's my little shout out to Glenn. But I mean, it's awesome seeing him in the Pinty series, trading paint, mixing it up, and he was it was rough starting out. No two ways about it for Glenn. But I think if anyone watched his season closely, and I'm sure Glenn noticed it, and everybody, and Whitey sure did at the shop, there was progress was made, and I don't think he would come back if he didn't feel like he could get more out of it. I mean, I can't wait to see Glenn go at it again. And I mean,
completely different from what he's been doing for his whole career. Like that's
everything about it has to be. So that's the thing, fans. Like the dirt discipline to asphalt discipline is like apples to oranges. You have to slow everything down. I think I can't speak to it at an expert level, but I mean, dirt racing happens so fast, and it's such a delicate balance. And it's not that asphalt isn't, but it just seems like the Pinty's car, particularly on the dirt too, it just happens slower. And to have a racer that was born doing that, that speaks to Glenn's adaptability too, to move over and do that. And now he's the face of merging disciplines together.
Now we're going to go into a couple of different topics here. Highlights of the year, and then who we kind of feel had a rough year and we'd love to see have a better year. So for myself, I wouldn't call it, we don't want to call it like a disappointment, but just a disappointing year. EHR for me was a very tough year for EHR, and really not expected, because I felt they had momentum at the beginning of the year with Dexter Stacey getting a top 3 finish at CTMP. That was one of my highlights, actually. For me,
mine too.
Was the smile on Dexter Stacey's face. You could not wipe the smile off of his face. He was so happy and so deserving of it. People like to put a lot of crap on guys that bring their own money to the series, but you have to remember one thing. Dexter Stacey came into this series when he was, 16, 15? He was
a child.
And he went away for a long time, but came back. And I think if they can tighten the screws a little bit, because I think there's still some moments where there's erratic moments, but if he tightens the screws a little bit, I don't see them having years like he's had in the past. I don't think having top 5s is out of the realm of possibility for him. His road course, I think the ovals are maybe still the weak spot, because I think he's actually done a very good job on the road courses. He seems to be much stronger there. EHR, though, started off rough with the 3 car. Brett Taylor could not buy luck. he had issue after issue after issue. I mean, Newfoundland was probably the worst feeling. I wanted to go give that guy a hug.
Yeah, I made it
like on a plane just to go give him a hug.
Yeah.
It was bad, and we don't know where Brett's going to end up for this year, but he wasn't alone. Rafael Lessard had a very odd year. He started off kind of strong, finishing second, and then he kind of dipped. And 8 starts, he only had 4 top 10s, and which is, people would say that's a good thing, but he led 9 laps.
Yep.
That's it.
Ray Jr. Kurdimash
was the highlight.
Yeah, had a bright spot.
Career finish at GP3.
Career finish, yeah. And I mean, that's something for Ray Jr. to hang his hat on, and something for EHR to hang their hat on. But you're completely right. I mean, for a team that's used to, frankly, kicking ass. Yeah, exactly. See, everybody, we all know it. I mean, EHR is used to being up front, and I think last year it probably doesn't sit well with Jason and Ed and Jamie and the whole group. And
it doesn't sit right with them.
They're going to they're going to be hungry. And to your point too, I think I got to spend a bit of time with Dexter at Delaware, that as a race fan, I couldn't be more thankful for, hanging out with them and just shooting the shit, like just 2 dudes like we are right now, and getting to know Dexter on a more personal level. And
great people.
He's just,
amazing.
As you say, like, they bring their own money, but if you follow the Stacys, they're hardworking people.
Yeah. And which guy gets into a Pinty's car at Wallace's age? Most guys would not even attempt it. Wouldn't even attempt
racing with your old man. Like, that's super cool.
If you guys don't know Wallace, he's hilarious.
He's a good dude.
He has got a lot of humor. He's like Brian Cathcart and Glenn Stiers. They are some of the most fun guys on the grid. Glenn and Brian, and we have to throw Brian to Cathcart. What a sweetheart! What a guy. I posted a picture years ago about me meeting Brian Cathcart at Peterborough, and he was handing out Frisbees back then in 2005, I think it was.
Got one right over there.
The Berms Are Us back then. It was the Berms Are Us Frisbee, and he was out there this year again with his Frisbees. And Brian is simply amazing. Just a genuine, down-to-earth guy, and I think deserves a lot of attention in this series, because people don't understand how much he actually helps out with his trucking company. He helps out a ton to a lot of the drivers and the teams here, with regarding to their insurance, with assisting with trucking, because a lot of these guys don't own their own stackers. They need assistance. But Brian's also the guy that would literally give you the shirt off of his back. He just is a great, humble racer. He put Stickers and Scuff Stackle on there after meeting DJ Kennington at Peterborough. Oh, wait, no, it was you. Great fun. But he had no qualms about it, man. He wanted us on there. He's been very, very appreciative to us, and he doesn't need to do that. But he makes sure to stop by and say hello. And the one thing that you can always say about Brian Cathcart is he has got the best hair in the business. Easily. Still, he still has the best hair in the business, dating back to when he was a rookie in 2003 in Cathcart, and he's still got it now.
Yeah, it's timeless for sure.
Yeah.
But I mean, that Brian Cathcart, I had never laid eyes on him in person until in recent years.
We saw him at Flamborough in 2021, and I think we were like, I think that's Brian Cathcart. I think you said
that's it. Like, when you think you see it, it's like the rock star hairdo, man. It's like seeing a rock star, and it's like, holy shit, I think that's Brian Cathcart. And you get a little bit like, I honestly like, or starstruck, where you're just like, that's Brian Cathcart. I mean, if you know anything about motorsports in Ontario, Brian Cathcart is a name that you hear. The guy loves racing. He loves driving. He loves helping people. as Cam said, providing logistics, whatever he can do to help put the show on the road. The guy, to his credit, is very humble. He doesn't. We've asked him, believe us, to come on the show, and he prefers to not be so much in the spotlight. He likes to be kind of a behind the scenes guy, but the guy's got the biggest heart. And that day, I'll never forget. I was not in a good mood that day. Like Wade and I were nose down with Rob McCall and Jessica James changing the engine on my midget car, and he came over. I saw him double take because he saw the Castrol Edge fire suit, and nope, that's not DJ in that suit. But then he came over and just, how's it going? I'm like, well, it's been better, Brian. I'm not going to lie, kind of thing. He's like, well, just kind of keep your nose down. And he was on his way. He's like, I wish I could stay for the race. And I'm like, well, it probably won't be much of a race on my end. But like the guy just a good pep talk. And every time, like, if they had to do some body repair on the car where our decal got rubbed off, he'd be right up to us. Hey guys, need some new decals for the car. And I mean, guy just can't say enough about Brian Cathcart. Dude's a friggin' treasure.
There's too many, and that's the thing, is that we can say that about so many guys in the series. Larry Jackson.
Good God, we could go on like all
Larry,
night.
DJ, TJ Renamato and Kelly. Kelly's a hoot. I hope we get to see Kelly out the racetrack again this year. We don't really know what's going to go on with TJ this year. We got some new friends that we made. Obviously, Chantel Kalika out there in Western Canada, Matt Shirley out in Western Canada, both going to rep us this year. Got to see Alex LeBay last year. He came around for the final races, and one of the things that I think I would love to hear from you, Graydon, is who do you feel had a disappointing season last year that you're hoping to rebound, and what was your highlight? Unfortunately, there were a lot of guys that did have moments where they struggled last year. So,
God, I don't know what you kind of nailed it with
EHR,
like Dexter. Like I said, we aren't media pros. I'm sorry. I'll call Dexter a buddy, man. Like that guy is a good guy, and how he ran in the
supporter of Stickers and Scuffs as well this year.
Yes. So. But I mean, that guy is just one of those people that they're overly, like, they don't have to be overly friendly or nice to us or come and say hey to us or drop what they're doing to come and say hey or invite you into their bus and hang out. Like, for how he ran in the Fan Cave Challenge in 2020, he was running awesome.
Yep.
And 2021 EHR was solid. They were doing great. And Dexter and like the P3 finish at Mosport, it was hopefully like a springboard of momentum for the season that just kind of didn't really come to be. And I hope Dexter's down south at Dega right now, getting ready to run that Recap Products 66 car. I hope just kind of getting out there and lighting his competitive fire, maybe a little ahead of the Pinty Series season. EHR, I know, is doing their homework, trying to catch up. Like we're saying, like nobody's sitting on their laurels right now watching Paille Racing run away with this again. I can promise you all that. So, I mean, I'm hoping that that 92 team really pulls up the socks and puts their work boots on this year.
I think for both of us, probably one of our biggest highlights was seeing GP3R not actually being there for the race finish, but figuring out who won and seeing who won. Alex Gannett, what a great guy. And man, the fact that he's going into the 3, that is a dangerous.
Yeah, that story sort of overlaps, doesn't it? Like that'll kind of help maybe reinvigorate EHR too.
Does Alex feel like a Jason Hathaway type of driver? Because to me, he does. He definitely comes across to me like a Jason Hathaway, where he tries to keep it chill for the most part behind the wheel. He's not very erratic, but if you tick him off, he'll move you. We saw that in 2021 at Sunset. I think it was him and I can't remember who. Maybe it was Brett. Actually, I think it was with Brett Taylor that they had a squabble on the very first race. And yeah, Alex has no qualms about it. He will move you. We saw him and Cole Powell at Delaware, where Cole ended up getting ejected because they were having their issues out on the racetrack. But the NASCAR Pinty Series always gives and gives, and we're so excited to see what Tony and the team behind him do for this year. I think that there's still a lot of announcements to make. I, for one, am really excited to see the first NASCAR Pinty Series team from Newfoundland that's going to run multiple races with Brandon McFarland and Josh Collins this year. Very excited to see that. I'm hoping that we'll get some other announcements for drivers. It has been relatively quiet, and we're under a month to go. We don't have a lot of reveals for the wraps for these cars yet, so there's a lot of stuff that needs to come out still. So I, for one, am really excited for this year. 14 races. I would always love to go and see us go back to Flamborough or go to Peterborough or go to Sauble, go to one of those like really short bull rings in Ontario. Yeah. But I know that's not really in the cards for right now. For this year, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm actually going to go and say that Brandon Watson is going to be the closest guy for the championship there. But I actually believe this is finally, I say this with Denny Hamlin every year, but I finally think this is going to be Kevin Lacroix's championship year. He's got Napa on board with him. So I'm going to say it's going to be a battle between Brandon Watson, Marc-Antoine Cameron, and Kevin Lacroix, with Kevin winning the championship over Cameron and Watson. Who do you have?
Oh, Bud, I know
it's a loaded question.
It is a loaded question, but I think I'm ready for it. I feel like how you mentioned White Motorsports paring down and keeping their focus. Who knows Andrew Ranger better than Dave White?
This is true.
I mean, Dave and Whitey knows what Ranger needs in a car, and Ranger knows he's not done winning championships. So I think this guy is going to be looking for more trophies this year and has his big eyes on the prize. I think Tag's going to return more true to form this year. He's going to be in the hunt. And I think, to your point too, Brandon Watson, he's going to be somebody to watch. Mm-hmm. And that Castrol kid, don't ever discount DJ Kennington for getting it done, because that guy, that fire in his belly never goes out.
I'd say surprises this year, Gannett, and I would also say JP Bergeron is going to be better this year. I'm going to throw out, though, and I'm going to say Thomas Nouveau in the number 24 is going to do very well for Dave Jacobs Racing. I don't know how well he'll do on ovals, but he is a very, very talented former Indy Road to Indy driver. He's running Carrera Cup races. Think he's got a lot of talent. I also want to say that LP Dumoulin, there is no way that he struggles like he did last year. Absolutely not.
No.
And he went winless last year. So he's going to be hungry to get that win. And if he goes out and does it right away, he could be in that championship hunt as well. But we'll be. He
loves him some Mosport. I mean,
he's really good there.
47 is
really good.
I mean, he could win at Sunset too. That's the beauty of LP. I mean, as you said, he didn't see victory lane last year, but I mean, don't ever think that LP can't win anywhere we go.
I think the one thing with LP is we know his road course efforts are always futile and always great, but he had some rough moments on the track last year. That Newfoundland was the biggest one. I've never seen LP Dumoulin wreck a car ever to that degree. Mm-hmm. And then of course at GP3R, the heartbreak with him and his brother and Marc-Antoine Cameron. But that also gives me a lot of excitement heading into this year, because we saw names like Jake Sheridan, Ray Morneau Jr. come into the series last year, give us some opportunities, LP Montour. But there was a lot of names that came into this series that did have some comings together. Marc-Antoine Cameron has had a history with EHR. Not to mention Kevin Lacroix and Gary Clute. Donald Teach had some run-ins with a couple of people, including Raphael Lassard and Brandon Watson, Tag and Brandon Watson. There's some squabbles with team owners and fights and all this type of stuff. So if we think that this season is not going to be action-packed and fun, you'd be wrong.
Don't forget the headline, like the All-Stars, like Kenny Schrader, and there's maybe we'll see Seabell, Stuart Friesen. I'm pretty sure is going to be coming back again.
Maybe Kenny Wallace.
I mean, folks, and that Jacques Villeneuve, although that
at this rate, we don't even know if Graydon Bunn will be the surprise at Oshweekend this year. At this rate, he's picking up rides left, right, and center. So
my schedule doubled.
The schedule has doubled already.
Yeah, my summer is bookended with racing or with competing, but
it's perfect.
It is perfect. I mean, we're setting up friends for one hell of a good summer, and the Pinty series is set to kick off here in about a month's time or so.
Just under a month now.
Yeah, can't wait to get down to see the Toddish clan and everybody at Sunset.
We reinvigorated Sunset Speedway. We're really excited to get out there.
Social media game and the countdown days.
Nice. Brendan Doherty,
done,
Sandra, Brian, Courtney, Ben, they are doing an amazing job with Sunset Speedway. Can't wait to go out and see them and see
that's the closest track to me and fam
and me. So
and
it's our home track. It's SNS's home track. So we might need to get ourselves
to see you.
Might need to get ourselves a billboard out at Sunset Speedway. Yeah. Anybody want to help us out with that? Fast signs? Are you able to help us out with a billboard? So some really exciting stuff this year. Make sure you follow us on social media all year long. Make sure you continue. We got next week DJ Christie going to be on the show, which is really excited, with special guest host Brent Autry is going to be back. BMO in this captain's seat with Graydon Bunn next week. So catch you all next week, and we'll see you guys at the track for the 2023 NASCAR Pinty Series season.